Okay, today we're going to trim out a window. Now this is a replacement window, a vinyl replacement window, and as you can see there's an old sill here. Now what we're going to do is we want to do a picture frame window today. So that means that the casing is going to run around the top, the sides, and the bottom. So we'll be removing this, and the other thing we want to check for is the depth in here, all the way around the opening. So let's start with the trim gauge here, and let's put that gauge into the opening here and pick up that distance right there, because that's going to be the size of our jamb that we're going to rip down. Now what I want to do is bring it down here and check it here as well. Now there's off just a little bit here. We can see about 1/8 of an inch gap here. And we're going to take it over to the other side now and check the other side. That's pretty good. And then we'll take it up to the top over here. And you can see there's a little bit of a gap here as well. Okay, now here's a little tip when it comes to a replacement window. Don't caulk the exterior until you've trimmed the interior of your home. And the reason for that is because it gives you a little bit of movement in the window in case of that situation that we just talked about where it's off about 1/4 inch. Now I have enough movement in the window that I can move this window in and out a little bit to compensate for that. If it's already caulked into place, then that means you're going to have to do tapered cuts on your jamb in order to get them to fit into place tightly. First we have to do is take off this sill here. So I'm going to take the trim gauge and capture this distance right there. And I'm going to walk down here at the end, and here we go. We're just going to scribe that line all the way down here like this. Now that's what we have to cut off. So I'm going to get my saw up here, and we're going to rip this off. Okay, now we're going to determine the size of this opening, and I'm just going to take the tape measure over here, grab the overall dimension, which happens to be 71.5. So, get that measurement there, and I'm going to come over here and grab this measurement, which is 35. Now that we have the measurements here, we're going to go to our saw and cut the frame out and the jamb, and we're going to case it. And I'm going to pre-assemble this one and put it right into the opening, as opposed to building it into the opening. You'll see what I mean. Okay, now we're going to take that measurement that we captured up top and set it up on our saw. Okay, we've ripped down our jambs, and what I've done is I've taken the sander here and I've smoothed out some of the plane marks and obviously the saw kerf marks for ripping down this jamb, you know, just so that when we get ready to paint it, we don't have to do that much work later. So we're about ready to put it together, and we're going to put our finished sanded edges inbound here, and we're going to do the same thing here. Okay, now we have the frame built, and all it's left to do now is to establish a reveal around this jamb for our casing that we're going to install on here like this. So I'll just lay the gauge into the opening, strike a line, flip the gauge into the corner again, strike another line. We're going to do that along the edge of the jamb as reference points for the trim. Okay, we're ready to set our casing, and you can see that I've started off with a 45-degree angle cut already. Now we're going to take this point right here on the casing and line it up on the reveal that we established earlier. Once I've got it lined up to where I like it, all you have to do now is track down the casing to the other end, and then come over here and transfer the mark, which was with the other reveal that we had earlier. Going to make the mark, and again I'm going to put a little hash line to show exactly what the diagonal cut is, and then we'll take that over to our saw and cut it. we've got our top and bottoms in place already, and it's time to put the side pieces on. Now, you can see again, I started with a 45-degree angle that's going to go in here. But what I want you to do is just flip the trim around, upside down, go point to point. Come over here like that, strike the mark right here. That's the overall length that it needs to be. Okay, we've cut the other 45-degree angle cut. Now all we got to do is just lay it into place and nail it. But we're going to use the glue again because I like to glue my miters. So now we're going to work this miter. Okay, we've made the frame and we put it into place. Now, what you're going to want to make sure you do is the reveal that's established here or wherever it is that you're putting it, maybe following that line, in which case that's what we are. I'm going to use the gauge to capture this distance here. And then when you nail it in, I want you to just calibrate this off of this window frame, both on the sides and on the top. Now, another thing you might want to do is before you put it into place, I like to caulk the back edge around the window here. It can get kind of messy if you don't put it in precisely in the right spot, but it gives a nice seal up against the frame here. Another option you can do is you could shim out the opening to the back side of the 3/4 jamb if you want to. This is a very small profile. It's only about 2 inches in thickness here. If you put some caulk on it, I think you're good. If you want to do the extra measure of shims, then just pack them out to the bottom edge of the windows, on the sides as well, and then when you slide it in, you'll be following the window, which is basically what we built the jamb on in the first place. So, and then get your secondary nails in around the perimeter once it's all in place. Okay, there you have it. We just cut a jamb and ran casing around the jamb and inserted it into the opening here. And again, we used the trim gauge to establish that reveal.